Security camera footage has been released showing the 3 nursing technicians who worked at Anchieta Hospital injecting the substances that killed 3 patients. So everyone, there are 3 confirmed deaths because there is this security camera footage. But there are 20 death reports that will be reanalyzed to check if they are related to the same method used on the other 3 victims. In the security camera footage, you can see the nursing technician Marcos Vinicius Silva Barbosa de Araujo, 24 years old, prescribing a lethal substance using the login of a doctor who was not on duty at the time. Right after, as shown in these images, he goes to the pharmacy, gets the medications, and gives them to the patients. Another suspect, the nursing technician Marcela Camila Alves da Silva, 22 years old, also appears on the security cameras handling the lethal substance in the pharmacy, and this substance is around the patient. A package or something orange. It's also possible to see that Marcos administers it and then he just stands there watching the team perform the resuscitation maneuvers. They committed the crime twice, on November 17th, and then the 3rd death was on December 1 now. Search and seizure warrants were executed, so cell phones and computers were seized and will undergo forensic analysis. On these devices, it will be possible to see the motivation, how they chose the victims, and if they actually chose the victims. If they took anything from these victims after committing the crimes, a lot still needs to be clarified. They will be charged with intentional homicide, aggravated by the victim's inability to defend themselves.
Guys, it's already getting annoying to talk about this, but whenever something happens, we need to think about the bigger picture. And for sure the police are already working on it, but there are a lot of speculations. And when I saw this page, a crime page, and it mentions this case that directly involves nursing, I wanted to share something important with you. Let's think together. How did it start? From the practical side, we've already understood. The nursing technician went to the computer that anyone can use, but he used the doctor's login. First mistake then. The doctor opened it, left it open, that's one situation. The technician had access to the login and password, that's another situation. So let's stop and think. I've already said this several times. Potassium chloride is a high alert medication. It will only be administered with a prescription, by a doctor, and with authorization. Alright, so that's what he thought. Now, how did he manage to do that? Did he have access because of a doctor's carelessness? That's one possibility. Did he have access with a login and password? Another possibility? I don't know. Another thing, I worked in this ICU. Of course it wasn't the same. The owner of the hospital changed. Okay? And the hospital can't even be compared to when I worked there. It was the top one in Brasilia when I worked there. I worked there until 2016, 10 years ago. A printed prescription has no value if it doesn't have a stamp and a signature. The pharmacy cannot dispense high surveillance medication or any other medication with a medical prescription that doesn't have a signature and a stamp. So, was there a stamp? Was there a signature? So the medical team should already be aware of this, okay? Be careful. If you step out to use the restroom or help the patient, log off to avoid problems. I've seen really a lot of stamps left on the desk. There shouldn't be a problem leaving the stamp on the desk because it's a hassle to carry the stamp, pen, and a bunch of things in your lab coat. I know it's annoying. But thinking about it now, because there are psychopaths or crazy people, I don't even know what to call them, now we really can't afford to be careless anymore. You sit down, log in, and when you leave, log off. Don't leave your stamp there, because what could he have done? He saw the stamp, the login was open, he printed, stamped, scribbled something on top. The pharmacy staff didn't even check if it was really the signature or not. And it's actually good if someone is watching this video, if they're looking at the records in this case, to check that doctor's signature on the stamp that's there, if it's really the doctor's signature, and if that's the way he signs. Even to compare the forgery in this matter, have you stopped to think about this point? If the login hadn't been open, there would have been no way to get the medications. Do you agree with me? If the login hadn't been open, he wouldn't have been able to prescribe. He wouldn't have been able to get this medication. Potassium chloride is not an emergency. Okay? So, a security flaw on the part of the system. So, the pharmacy released it. So either they released it with reservations or they released it because everything was in order with the prescription signed and stamped, right? You go there, sign, and a record of the patient's expenses and needed materials is generated. That's it. So that's one issue. Another thing I noticed a lot in the conversations. There must be something behind it. We don't know either, but I'm just assuming here there must be some funeral home scheme. There must be issues with organs. First point, did those 3 who died have their organs donated? We don't know. I don't think so. If they had, it would have already been mentioned. At least I believe that would have happened. And how do you know that person would have a compatible organ right there? Of course, there's an organized scheme for that. If it's an organized scheme, then the puzzle starts to make sense. Why? I'm going to the bathroom. I'm a doctor, right? I go to the bathroom, leave my computer open, my stamp here. The patient is the one with an organ compatible with, I don't know, whoever's going to buy it, because over there they need an organ with those genetic characteristics. You get it? Then it comes back to medicine. If there really is the possibility of buying organs or something like that, then there have to be more people involved in this. So, have you stopped to think about this issue? Funeral home. I don't think it's really related. For those who are from Brasilia guys, I'm from Minas. I moved to Brasilia in 2010. Brasilia is unique compared to other Brazilian cities. Here, things work by sectors. Pharmacy sector, optical sector, and that hospital over there is a hospital complex. So, over there you have the hospital, there's a public hospital, which is the HRT, and since there are 2 hospitals close by, there's also a cluster of funeral homes with at least 5 companies, one next to the other. So, I don't believe there would be any collusion. Also because the client, the patient who is in this hospital, which is partnered, most of the time has health insurance, which doesn't necessarily mean they'll use the funeral home. A, B, C, D, or O, I don't know. So, I really want to know the motivation, but I believe that the funeral home isn't involved in this matter. If organ donation is involved, it could reach more people. G? People in high positions. Because how much does an organ cost? I don't know. How much is a life worth? There's no price. So that's how we see it. So if there's any connection, we'll find out. But I believe the guy is crazy, and that the girls, the 2 technicians, are also crazy, seriously. Because it's that thing, right? It's sad. Also, hospitals dislike headlines because they hurt their reputation. If you see the posts that have already come out from people saying, don't go to that hospital anymore, then a negative post about an institution damages the institution. So, Anchieta Hospital is literally burned. The question is, who reported it? It was the hospital. But why did the hospital report it? Because it was a crime. Yes, a crime. It could be happening behind the scenes, but it's not. So, it's just for you to understand that if the hospital itself reported it, and they have to do that, but we know that some companies might leave this for another time, right? It means that I think it was more about the nursing technicians being crazy than anything actually going on. Did you get the point? Imagine if the hospital was behind some organ buying scheme. I don't know if they are, okay? But I'm just thinking, what if they were? Do you think he would turn himself in? Or the scheme he's part of, for example? Strange, right? It would be weird. Wait a minute, the guy is going to report the problem he was complicit in? I don't think so, right? And when I say he, I don't mean the network, just maybe some people involved. I don't think so. So, once again, I believe it's a problem with the nursing technicians, and the last option for us to wrap up this video is buying a bed. Oh my God. Which private hospital today has 100% occupancy? There isn't any, so there's no need to free up a bed. And look, freeing up a bed is easy. We know which patient is a little better, who can go to a step-down unit, who can already be discharged, and we put in a critical patient. You don't need to kill people to put them in a private hospital bed. And this hospital, it added a lot of beds. When I worked there were 34 intensive care beds. The place opened many more beds. So it's not at 100% occupancy there. During the pandemic, it was like that in all hospitals in Brazil. Now, at this moment, in 2025, just now, it wasn't at 100%. And another thing, at the end of the year, things slow down, the occupancy rate goes down. So this thing about buying beds, about who's going to buy beds for private use so insurance can pay or something like that. Some people even said insurance scheme. Man, insurance. See? Correios. Man, the size it is, it's like a non-profit agreement. So before you talk, you have to analyze. Do you think non-profit agreements are heating up to the point of doing something like this? Just imagine the kind of problem he would cause if something like this really existed. I'm just sharing my thoughts here, my opinion. Everything I think points to the guy being a psychopath. It doesn't make sense otherwise. That's my view. What do you think? Agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments.